Hey, do Jews take revenge? Is the IDF taking revenge on Gazans for what Hamas did to the Jews in the communities surrounding the Gaza Strip on October 7th? Well, I don't think the IDF is going into Gazan apartments, burning people alive, beheading babies and throwing them into ovens, and doing other unspeakable atrocities that Hamas had done on the 7th of October. So no, the IDF is not taking revenge. But I do believe that Jews do take revenge. But what does their religion think about it? Well, the Torah is unequivocal. It says, "Thou shalt not take revenge, nor spite against your fellow." And the rabbis in the Jewish Talmud explain that it means the following. Let's say that Fred wants to borrow Barney's hammer. But Barney says to him, "I'm not going to lend you my hammer." But a couple of months later, Barney wants to borrow Fred's screwdriver, and Fred wants to take revenge and say, "Well, you didn't give me the hammer, I'm not giving you the screwdriver." He's not allowed. If he can lend him the screwdriver, he must. Otherwise, it's revenge. But what is spite? I mentioned spite. Spite means the following, that Fred can't say to Barney, "Well, you didn't lend me the hammer because you're a loser, but I'm a winner. I'm not as petty as you. I will lend you the screwdriver." That's also forbidden. Even making Barney feel the slightest bit bad about his refusal to give the hammer is considered forbidden. So Jews are to be keeping very far away from revenge. So how can I say that I believe Jews are taking revenge? Well, it's a unique type of revenge. It's a Jewish revenge, and I wish it on everybody. Dan Sullivan, a very famous coach of entrepreneurs, not a Jewish man, was touring Israel with a group, and they had visited Yad Vashem, Israel's Holocaust Memorial. At the end, they sat down with a survivor to hear his story. And he told a heart-wrenching story that brought tears to everyone's eyes, how his family had been killed when he was a child, and how he had been abused and starved and beaten and seen so much death and destruction. And at the end, very moved, Dan Sullivan says, "I have to ask you this question. Do you ever think about revenge against the Germans?" And the man smiled and said, "Listen, I'm 90 years old. I live in a country called Israel, and I have 28 grandchildren. That is my revenge. That is Jewish revenge." And I myself saw something similar on a very unique program called the March of the Living, where young students, together with survivors, march from the concentration camp of Auschwitz to the death camp of Birkenau to commemorate the Holocaust. I was with a group from the Midwest, and there was a young woman there whose grandfather was the survivor with our group, and she was walking next to him, and she's crying bitter tears, and he's got this huge smile on his face. And I said to him, "How can this be? Your granddaughter is crying like this, and yet you smile." And he says, "I'm smiling because I am here with my granddaughter. Back then, I never thought that any such thing could even be possible." That is Jewish revenge. And there's a lesson there for all of us, you see, because if somebody attacks someone, then the other one, if they choose to be bitter and always hating back, then they are allowing the attacker to continue to harm them because they are missing out on the beauty of life. Jewish revenge says, we can have, as the nation of Israel does, relations with Germany. We can see peace. We can dream of good things. We can write songs. We can hug each other. We can make poems. We don't have to allow ourselves to be defined by those that hurt us and attack us. The best revenge is to be even more Jewish, more alive, more filled with hope, and to work even harder for peace, even as we fight to prevent other terrible things from happening in the future. Jewish revenge is to succeed and to never lose one's humanity and one's hope.